it is 6 minutes past 5 in the morning, and I hope that this time finds you well. Let's just check if the sound is working, and then we can move on. Oh, let it go. Sorry about that. But it seems like sound's working just fine. Hey there, friends, good morning. My name is Toby. I am 41 years old, and I train to be living an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to sleep between 7 and 9 hours in a night. Today I succeeded in sleeping 7.5 for the first time in a while. I think for the first time since getting back from holidays. So it is now Friday morning. That was Saturday, obviously not. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That was 6 days of not sleeping well, and believe me, by yesterday I was starting to notice the difference in not hitting 7 hours of sleep. And I think that there is a good lesson there for all of us, and that is that indeed it is important to get sufficient sleep in order to thrive and stay healthy and fit and maintain that focus and level of activity throughout the week. I mind what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance. That means I try to eat, around 2,200 calories in a day. I'm probably eating a little bit more because I'm not tracking everything that I eat calorie by calorie, gram by gram, so to speak. But that is more or less the direction and goal of my meal planning and the 3 meals that I have in a day. I eat a lot of greens. I try to eat a lot of greens and a lot of whole foods because I think those are the foods that keep me healthiest and best fueled over time. And I try to hit a certain protein goal on training days. I try to get closer to 100 grams. On off days, I try to stick to about 60 or 70 grams of protein in a day to meet my strength and muscle building goals. Also, I show up for training. I show up for strength training. I show up for conditioning training. I show up for HIIT training. I show up for steady state cardio. I show up for strength conditioning training. I show up for HIIT training. I go for a longer, more intense run. I do hill sprints. And I mix all of those trainings with mobility training throughout the week. And I live stream every day for about 30 minutes. So if there's, training that you're interested in or a conversation about health and fitness, then this is the channel that you might find some information and someone to train along with and chat about your health and fitness journey. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent for whatever life is going to throw at me. That could be a lot in my experience, but staying physically fit and active and healthy and strong and capable has helped me throughout life to actually understand and cope with a lot of the challenges that life has thrown my way. Why is this important? For me, it's important for 2 reasons. First of all, not only might we live to get 80 or 90, but we might also experience more sick years than healthy years with that increased life expectancy that we have at the moment. And a lot of that increased life expectancy with those extra 6 years, sick years, actually the disease and discomfort is somewhat preventable through lifestyle choices that we make. So by adopting an active, healthier, more fitness and strength and activity-oriented lifestyle in our 30s, 40s, 50s, we set ourselves up for different levels of health and fitness in our 60s, 70s, and 80s. We decrease the risks of disease and we increase the capacity we have to actually stay active, self-sufficient, and prevent injuries or disease or discomforts through an active lifestyle. Second is I have 2 kids. I would like them to have a good example and a role model in life, but also I would like to actively participate in their lives. And I do that hopefully by setting an example of what an active adult actually looks like, what that is, and also passing on or transferring the skills, knowledge, tools that they need to actually stay fit and healthy in an environment where it's easy to be sleep deprived, it's easy to eat junk, it's easy to not move sufficiently, it's harder and harder to make and keep friends, and there is little appreciation for the mastery of certain things through our hobbies, if they're not, for example, sports related. So those are the reasons that I do the things that I do, and I think it's important always to state that we're good just the way we are. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look, right? We're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today. It's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. And the only way to get anything done is by showing up, doing the work. So we're going to get started with the training. Abuses, thanks for dropping by. 8:07 p.m. in Los Angeles. Yeah, see, I got in at 5 this morning, so I'm quite happy with myself because it is early, and I'm happy that we are going to be able to get started with the workout this morning. So we are doing 30 minutes circuit, and we're just going to start off relatively easily because we need to warm up a little bit. And then as we're going to talk about health and fitness. And let's see what the topic is going to be today. So first 2 minutes, we're just warming up. Just trying to activate the full body. Let it know that we are getting ready for some activity. I am ready for the weekend. By the way, I know it is Thursday night where you're at, but it is Friday morning where I'm at. And it is, before we lose the microphone, it is Friday morning where I'm at. It's been a good week, and now we're ready for the weekend. All right. We're going to be doing simple circuits. All right. Start with some push-ups. Then we're going to do some squats. Then we're going to do some overhead presses. We're going to do rows deadlifts and move on again. Nothing special, but I didn't want to do slow. Push-ups. So not the seal style, but focusing on lowering that body weight for a moment. And then grabbing our friend, the 8 kilo, the weight that's going to get me through my back injury, and preparing for those goblet squats. Now, 5 overhead presses with a light weight. I'm seeing a physiotherapist later about my right shoulder, because my right shoulder blade and left shoulder blade actually don't move as they should. And it's important to fix that, because I can do light overhead work, but the moment we start to do heavier or more intense overhead work, we always get some irritation with the muscles there. And what we obviously want is to be able to work with all of the exercises and the full range of motions that our body has to offer. And as you see, every minute on the minute, we keep moving through the different exercises, hopefully finding time for a break. In between. And the last one is going to be the deadlift. So that's the first circuit done. And what a good start of the day. So have you been able to check in on my podcast? Oh, I see a lot of comments in the chat. I'm going to read those in a second, and I appreciate you going by and saying hello. Up 10 times, ready for push-ups. Corrupt, Toby, yes. Well, thanks for dropping by. Hope you're doing well. Class 22, thanks for dropping by as well. I hope you're alright. Yeah, I wonder what it is. Yeah, I have that same issue with training, and I appreciate all the comments and people dropping by to say hello. So any kind of pain to me is an indication to stop training, lighten the load, and try to figure out what is causing it. With the shoulder, it took us a year to actually figure out. Ended up having to go to a sports physiotherapist specialized in the shoulders, who revealed that my shoulder isn't moving, the shoulder blade isn't moving the way it should, and that's at the root of the problems. Calisthenics is a great way of working out. I have no rage against any form of training or exercise. If it works for you, it works for you. I think if we adhere to the principles of training right? Which are seeking progressive overload and working to technical failure, depending on, or volume, depending on where we're interested in muscle growth or strength development, then, you can do as much with body weight probably as you can do with other kinds of weight. You can even pick up a rock and do nearly everything that I'm doing this morning. So I still need to figure out a way to get the camera set up in a way that you can actually see my hands moving in their entirety. Let's see, maybe this helps. If you keep missing the hand at the top of the workout there. 5, 6, 8. So, we are, and now the deadlifts. Strength side, I think I know strength side. Smooth, I don't know. Body weight and kettlebells. Oh, that sounds interesting. I'll also have to check that out. Thanks for sharing. So hey, let's talk about some health and fitness topic. Specifically, let's talk about rest and recovery, because I think we underestimate the importance of properly resting and recovering. Specifically, the importance of getting sufficient sleep, right? But sleep is the time for us and our body to actually regenerate, repair, reinvigorate itself. And it's not as if we don't notice or feel the adverse effects of that on our general health and fitness, right? So when we sleep well, our immune system works better. We lower the occurrence of low-grade inflammation throughout our body. We make sure that we recover from both stress and physical exertion, we give our body a chance to recuperate, to restock stores of energy that are vital to our performance and our ability to ward off disease and function properly. So these are all net benefits of sleeping well, right? We produce growth hormone while we sleep. We restore the function of the prefrontal cortex, which, by the way, begins to function less effectively over time as we deprive ourselves from sleep, because we damage its structural integrity. And in sleep, we should not forget that in sleep we also cleanse our brains, right? We actually shrink the size of our brain cells, and fluid runs through our brains that washes out all of the toxins and junk and gunk that builds up throughout the day. Now, this is all fascinating, but what can we do to facilitate that process? Because we would want to keep our brain in as good a working order as we possibly can. By the way, if you're watching and you're enjoying the content, please go ahead, hit like. It helps the stream. Maybe check out my channel. Klaus, thanks for dropping by. Have a great dinner and a great night of sleep tonight and a good day tomorrow. So drop by, hit like on the channel, leave a comment in chat if you want to. And, you know, if at all, share my channel or my video with a friend who you think might be interested in getting fit at 40, facing similar challenges that I have with a career and children. So, what can we actually do to sleep better, right? Well, there are three things that we can actually focus on in terms of our sleep that are going to help us, you know, get more out of the quantity of sleep that we're getting. Let's start with two that are not so commonly discussed. The one is, the other one isn't. So, first off, when is your last meal and when is your last caffeinated drink? And that's just worth considering and looking at. So that last caffeinated drink of the day, yeah. I tend to have my last coffee around 3 p.m. Preferably, actually, I get it in at 2 p.m. And that is the end of the day in terms of caffeine. For me, that gives me at least 6, maybe 8 hours to metabolize the drink. And to be very honest, that is a lot. That is maybe all I need to metabolize it. But what about food? Because the closer to bedtime we eat, the harder our body is still going to be working in terms of digesting food. And we want to consider that the earlier we eat that final meal in the day, the more of the heavy digestion, the initial digestion will have passed. And it will make it easier for us to find rest in our sleep. I don't know, some people have their last meal at 11 a.m. I find that somewhat unpractical in the flow of my life, but I can understand why, based on their data, they might be leaning that way. But I'd say dinner, the earlier, the better. And here is where you probably get a clash between your social context and your health and fitness goals. In this case, your sleep goals. Because you might not be in charge of your own food. You might be dependent on other people, either in food preparation or in terms of the consumption of the food is a social gathering. Now, whichever one it is just important to realize that you might not be as in control of your meal times and meals as you might want to be. So what else can you do to mitigate the effects? Well, you could eat lighter or less, right? Because lighter, more greens are somewhat easier on the stomach and the digestive tract. Than the heavier foods. So that is one option you have to actually ease that passing. Hey, geese, good evening. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you're doing well. I hope life is good in Texas, where you're at. It is about 5:30 a.m. where I'm at, and I'm good. And we're about to go into the final circuit of today's training. which is nice. I hope you're doing well where you're at in the world. So, sleep. Last cup of caffeinated or stimulating drink around 2, 3 p.m. Dinner earlier is better. Lighter is good. Try to have at least 2 hours before bedtime. In between that last meal and sleep, and that means no snacking or grazing after, because we're trying to prepare ourselves for a good night's of sleep in those hours. So what else can we do for sleep? Well, for sleep, we could reduce stimulation in the 2 hours before bedtime, so the period after dinner. What does that mean? It means dimming lights. For example, I hear there are some benefits to red lights if we want to really optimize, but dimming lights is good. Putting away screens in those 2 hours before bed. So the final meal of the day is also a good cue to disconnect from the screen. And it is not the screen or the light, actually. That makes the difference. It is the absence of stimulation that actually makes for good sleep, because we don't fry our brain and our attention with information overload. There's a difference between watching some TV on a big screen and watching a story play out from beginning to end, for example, over. Okay, the final circuit, by the way, watching a story play out over, for example, endlessly scrolling and watching 60 different people, probably more, in 60 minutes, all trying to tell you and sell you something. So we switch that off before bed. And then we are maybe sitting around a table with people we love and care about, or on the phone with a friend, and we are simply talking. And we're chatting and laughing and communicating, or we're playing a tabletop game, playing a game of cards, we're playing a game of Monopoly or Risk or any other type of game that requires us to interact, communicate, charades. and simply working on our relationships and our communication skills. Doesn't matter if it's one person or 4 people or 6 people. It's worth investing in, all right? Then when we get to bed, we want to make sure the bedroom is dark, and I, for my 41st birthday, got a sleeping mask as a gift. I think it was a joke, but it's actually proven to be a significant factor in improving the quality of my sleep, because it is so bloody dark in the room now that I cannot help but fall asleep with this thing on my face. So that's a net positive there. I prefer to sleep with the window open because we want to keep the room cool and cold. Last set of deadlifts. And there you have a relatively good recipe for a good night's sleep. There are other things you can do, like drinking non-stimulating tea, reading a book. I always read 1 or 2 pages at least, and I just notice that I start to doze off throughout, and that is where I call it a night, and I'm all right with that. All right, friends, that was 30 minutes of the workout. I hope we're good. I know I'm good. I feel pretty good about having gotten up right before 5 and made it to do the workout and to be done around 5:30, I think it is. For those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I'm 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. I do so by minding what I eat. Try to eat within my energy balance, try to eat greens, try to eat sufficient protein. I show up for training, mobility, strength, conditioning, everything in between. I try to spend time with people I love and care about, do things that I enjoy, generally try to live a stress-free life. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead, check out my channel, my videos, hit like on the stream if you enjoyed the workout. I stream my workouts every day. I'm going to go to my kitchen to record the podcast episode, and I think we're going to talk about mastery today. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to go to my channel, because I'll be there in a few minutes. Remember that we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. This person we are today is going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. And a bit of kindness to ourselves is going to go a long way, because there are enough people who want to put us down. We are going to lift ourselves up. All right? Remember, this is not about the way I look. This is about the way I feel. I want to feel fit, competent, and capable for life. And the only way to get anything done, friends, by showing up and doing the work. So, let me see who were here this morning. Corrupt, Clause 22, Geese 88. Thanks for dropping by. I hope you're well. Wish you a good night's sleep and a good day later. And I will see you tomorrow. And remember, friends, subscribe.